Hey there, my friends. Matt Leja here with Maple Grove Productions. Today is an exciting day. We got our fruit trees and our nut trees, and we're actually going to put in our Korean pines. So I want to show you the process of planting Korean pine trees. When you first get them in the package, you got to be so very careful. I ended up cutting a few of the pine needles on them, opening the package. They come in these Ziploc bags, which, in my opinion, they could be better packaged, but with the outside packaging they put on that, it was definitely adequate. These are drying out quick though, so I want to get these in the ground. As I've said in my other videos, you definitely want to get your trees in the ground as soon as you get them. Make sure your holes are dug. Everything's done ahead of time as much as possible. Get these guys in the ground as soon as you get them. As soon as you take them out of the package, immediately put them in the ground. These Korean pines, you don't want to soak them because they come in these balls of dirt that are actually inoculated with mycorrhiza, so you don't actually have to add any of that. These are super simple to plant here, as you'll see in a moment. It's just as simple as making a hole about the same size as that clump of dirt and just sticking it in. You can do a top dressing of compost, but do not put it in the ground or you will burn your roots. Korean pines take a long time to mature, upwards of 7 to 10 years sometimes. So you're not going to get any nuts out of these for a good decade. But these guys don't grow much for the first few years. However, when they do start growing, which could be anywhere, as far as I know, between the ages of 3 and 7, they just explode. So put them in an area where you know for a fact they're going to have lots of room to grow. They're going to have decent amounts of sun. They are shade tolerant. I believe they even prefer shade. But as far as being a pine, you can grow them in almost any soil. They do very well in poor soil even. So sandy soil, clay soil, they'll do fine there. They do fine in acidic soil. It's a pine, right? So when you talk about hardy trees, this is a hardy tree. So I highly encourage everyone to pick up a couple of these. They are self-pollinating as far as I know, but having more of them will just speed that process along. So we ended up getting 4 of them. We got 1 in the ground now, and we ordered 3 more. So that will increase our chances of having some very fast pollination and propagation of these trees. Let's get it in the ground. Alright, so planting your Korean pines is as simple as finding a good spot for them. Keep in mind that they don't grow much for the first few years, but then they explode. You want to have preferably a couple of them in close proximity. So the first thing is just finding where you want to plant it in a suitable place. So here we're far enough from the power line, we're far enough from other trees. This is probably going to be a good spot. So we're going to plant it right here, which is denoted by this pile of wood chips. So it's just as simple as just digging your hole now, taking that clump of dirt with the inoculated mycorrhiza like I was showing earlier, and just sticking it in the hole. You can add bonus things like your bone meal if you want, or also your mycorrhiza solution or powder if you happen to have that. But again, the ball is already inoculated, so that's not necessary. So that's all we're going to do now is just dig our hole, stick in a tree, and we're going to protect it after with a perimeter and probably a stake just to mark where it's at, but these don't need to be staked or tied on, so it's really that easy. And again, I like to dig square holes because it does encourage the roots to grow outward, so that's what I did here. There's a huge rock here, of course. Just my luck. All of them. Whoops. Again, this is just a small tree, so it doesn't have to be a huge hole, but making sure to get all these nasty rocks out of there, and any bits of wood or root might be interfering with the tree's growth. That's the kind of stuff you want to get out of your tree's hole. So obviously my hole was way too big. I could have made this maybe a fraction of the size, a quarter of the size would have been enough. On second thought, had I not dug, I wouldn't have found those 2 huge rocks, so there's advantages on either side, I suppose. I know it's probably really hard to see at this point, but there you have the Korean pine. It's all installed, ready to go. Hole was way too big, but we got it in there. Filled it up with dirt, added a little bit of bone meal, some myco solution, some compost dressing, and wood chips. Wish I could give you a better look at it, but that's all that we're gonna get for daylight. So ran out of daylight again. Isn't that always what happens? But anyway, let's continue. So here you see one of our Korean pines that we planted last night. Actually, we protected it with a wire mesh, but it's a little short, so we're gonna swap that one out and put a taller one, and then cover that up with the burlap. Our bamboo stake here is just telling us where it is so it doesn't get trampled on or damaged, hopefully, but we'll see in the spring. So the wood chips on the bottom of the tree were removed so they don't damage the tree in this process. Now it's just a matter of slipping the cage over top, making sure it's secured. Put some wood chips around the sides, and an additional step of protection is adding some stakes all the way around, make like a cage. You can use this plastic fencing to seal that area off. Before you seal it all up, put the burlap on, and this tree will be winterized. Yeah, it's starting to rain. Thanks for tuning in, my friends. We'll catch you on the next one. Until then, take care, be safe, and happy gardening.
Bye!